my name is Jim Dale, and in this video I intend to say a few words about myself, provide a brief introduction to some of my repertoire of lectures that I'm delighted now to be able to deliver through the Cruise Lecturers Association, and finally to provide details of a website where you can find out more about me, my lectures and the association. I am a retired Police Chief Superintendent. I worked for 30 years in London and Sussex and also performing national roles, most notably as a Programme Manager for Forensics 21. Now this is all about improving the contribution of fingerprints, DNA, drug testing and footwear comparison, particularly when detecting and solving the most serious types of crime. I am still closely involved in policing and crime, but I also now teach, advise and mentor project managers working with the Association for Project Management. I really enjoy cruising, and as I love lecturing, working for the Cruise Lecturers Association to speak on board ship, well, that's a dream come true. So let's now turn to my lectures. I've chosen the topics carefully. I think it's really important there are strong personal or professional links to each of the topics. My lectures are all supported with professionally produced slides, maps, photographs and video. Now this video, which I have produced, will provide a little insight into my technical capabilities. My first lecture is a story of fingerprints. And I'm going to take you back, right back to 1901 when New Scotland Yard opened the first fingerprint bureau. There was a landmark case in 1905 when two brothers were convicted of murder using fingerprint evidence. They were jointly responsible for a brutal double murder of two elderly shopkeepers in Deptford, South London, when they bludgeoned the victims and stole the contents of a cash box. What's interesting about this case is that from the time of the crime being committed to the sentence being carried out, which in those days was capital punishment, well, this was less than 3 months. Now that really is justice being delivered swiftly. Now my talk will include other high-profile crimes where fingerprints have been key, such as the Great Train Robbery, the Brighton bomb, and more recently the Madrid bombings. I then intend to take a different angle by looking at the vital role that fingerprints plays when identifying the victims of major disasters. And my case study here will be the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami. My next lecture is all about gangs, past and present. In May 2012 I wrote a feature article for a magazine called Police Professional about gun crime in 5 major cities in North America. My lecture begins by looking at organised crime during the Prohibition years in the US. Then I make comparisons with gangs of the 1960s in London, which of course were dominated by the Krays and Richardsons. And finally, I look at the contemporary teen gangs in the UK and draw comparisons with the 5 major cities research from North America. You'll find this a fascinating lecture. My third lecture also has a crime theme, and it's all about the psychology of serial killers. Now I've been very privileged to visit the US on many occasions in a professional capacity and learn about the excellent work, for example, of the FBI in profiling serial killers. My lecture will focus on the psychology of our own serial killers here in the UK. Are they criminally insane? Are they monsters? Or are their thought processes calculating and rational? And what motivates them? And how have they been able to evade arrest? I cover this and much more in my lecture. Now lecture 4 has a different theme, and I'm here in the streets of Lewes on bonfire night. Lewes is the town where I live, and it's also the scene of the greatest bonfire in the world. In fact, it's a series of bonfires which begin with a mass parade, and you can see that behind me. The history is really fascinating, and it goes back to the burning of 17 Protestant martyrs in Lewes during the reign of Queen Mary. And I'm going to tell you all about the history of this wonderful spectacle, the myths and the legends of the Lewes bonfire. Lectures 5 and 6 have a strong project management theme, my second professional passion. Lecture 5 is all about the Normandy landings, D-Day, arguably the greatest and most complicated project ever undertaken in the history of mankind. There's a personal interest for me in this particular lecture, as my dad, now in his 90s, was one of the infantrymen who landed on Gold Beach during D-Day. Lecture 6 focuses on Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the greatest British engineer of all time. He built the first high-speed railway, the first tunnel under a river, the longest tunnel of its time, 3 of the largest ships of his era, the first prefabricated hospital, and countless spectacular buildings and bridges. I've been fascinated with Brunel, and I wrote recently a feature article for Project magazine about the lessons which we can learn from the great man. You'll enjoy this lecture regardless of your background. Brunel truly is a great Britain. The final lecture I'd like to talk about briefly is entitled A Cancer Survivor Tale and Post-Traumatic Growth. Now, I'm sure most of you will have heard of the notion of post-traumatic stress, but post-traumatic growth has the opposite effect. And this is a very personal story about me and my recovery from a serious illness, and how this provided a platform for development, progress and enrichment. Well, that's it. There are more lectures that I deliver, and these can be found on the Cruise Lecturers Association pages of my website, which is www.jamesdale.co.uk. On the website you will also find links to more YouTube clips and also a sample PowerPoint presentation. Well, thank you so much for watching this short video. I look forward to meeting you on board ship very soon. Bon voyage.